What would you do if you saw injustice happening? One stranger stepped in and changed everything. What would you do if you saw someone being humiliated in public? Would you walk away or would you stand up for them? Today's story is one that will restore your faith in humanity and remind us all of the power of kindness. Before we dive in, welcome to Timeless Stories, where we share inspiring moments that make you think and feel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that might change your perspective. It was a busy afternoon at Central Savings Bank. The lobby buzzed with the sound of hurried footsteps, ringing phones, and impatient customers murmuring in frustration. Among them was an elderly woman named Grace Williams. She stood quietly in line, clutching an envelope as her hands trembled slightly. The anxiety on her face was unmistakable. Grace wasn't here to withdraw money or make a deposit. She was here to resolve a problem that could affect her ability to pay for her medication. For Grace, what seemed like a simple error in her account was actually a lifeline. As Grace reached the counter, she was greeted by a young teller named Sarah Reed. With her tired expression and hurried tone, Sarah barely looked up before asking, "How can I help you today?" Grace hesitated but finally said, "There seems to be a mistake in my account. These charges don't make sense, and I can't afford them. Could you please help me?" Sarah glanced at the envelope, flipping through the papers with little interest. "These fees are standard. They're all outlined in the terms and conditions," she said flatly, pushing the envelope back toward Grace. "But I wasn't informed about these fees," Grace replied, her voice trembling. Sarah sighed and crossed her arms. "Ma'am, maybe you didn't understand the terms when you opened the account. There's nothing I can do about it." Other customers began to notice the exchange, some whispering and others simply watching. Grace felt the weight of their stares and tried to steady her voice. "I just want someone to review this, please." Before Grace could say more, the bank manager, Stephen Hart, approached the counter. His sharp suit and commanding presence made everyone take notice. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his tone brisk. "Just a customer misunderstanding our policies," Sarah quickly replied. Grace looked at Stephen, her eyes pleading. "It's not a misunderstanding. These charges weren't there before. I'm just asking for fairness." Stephen raised a hand to silence her. "Ma'am, the policies are clear. If you didn't read them, that's not our fault." The humiliation was unbearable. Grace looked around for support, but the other customers averted their eyes. Her voice cracked as she said, "I've been a loyal customer for years. I just need someone to listen." Stephen smirked. "If you can't afford the fees, maybe this isn't the right bank for you." Just as Grace felt completely defeated, a calm voice broke through the tension. "Why are you speaking to her like that?" The room fell silent. Heads turned to see a man in a casual jacket and baseball cap stepping forward. He removed the cap, and as his face became clear, gasps rippled through the crowd. It was Keanu Reeves. Stephen froze, his confident demeanor faltering. "Mr. Reeves, I didn't realize—" Keanu raised a hand, his expression calm but firm. "It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is why you're treating this woman with such disrespect." Grace's eyes widened in disbelief. Keanu turned to her and asked softly, "Ma'am, what's the issue? Can I take a look?" Grace hesitated but handed him the envelope. Keanu scanned the papers and then looked at Stephen. "This is clearly a mistake. These charges don't add up. You're going to fix this, right now." Stephen stammered. "Mr. Reeves, there's a system in place." Keanu interrupted, his voice steady. "Systems don't excuse mistreatment. This woman deserves respect, and so does every customer here." As the tension mounted, Keanu pressed further. "How many accounts have been affected by these errors? Is this a systemic issue?" Stephen hesitated, glancing nervously at Sarah. Finally, he admitted, "It seems these fees were applied to multiple accounts, mostly elderly customers." The room erupted in murmurs. Keanu's eyes narrowed. "That's not a mistake. That's exploitation." He turned to the customers. "How many of you have experienced something similar?" Hands began to rise and voices echoed in agreement. Keanu pulled out his phone and started recording. "This bank has been unfairly charging elderly customers. We're going to make this right." Under Keanu's watchful eye, Stephen refunded Grace's fees on the spot and initiated a full review of the affected accounts. But Keanu wasn't done. You'll notify every customer and reimburse them fully, and this won't be swept under the rug. The bank later issued a public apology and launched an investigation. Stephen and Sarah were removed from their positions, and the affected customers received not only their money back, but also compensation for the ordeal. As Grace left the bank that day, she turned to Keanu and said, "I'll never forget what you did for me. Thank you for standing up when no one else would." Keanu smiled. "Everyone deserves respect. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." To the other customers, he added, "When you see injustice, don't look away. Stand up for what's right. It makes all the difference." If this story moved you, remember that kindness and courage can change lives in ways we can't always imagine. Whether it's standing up for someone in need, offering a listening ear, or simply treating others with respect, small actions can have a ripple effect that reaches far beyond the moment. Today, let Keanu's actions serve as a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how ordinary we may feel. You don't need fame or influence to bring justice to someone's life, just the will to do what's right. So take a moment to reflect. What can you do today to show kindness to someone who needs it? It could be as simple as a smile, a kind word, or standing beside someone who feels alone. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who could use a little hope today. Let's spread a message of empathy and courage far and wide. Together, we can create a world where respect and compassion are the norms, not the exceptions. And don't forget, every story like Maggie's is a chance to learn and grow as a community. What do you think of Keanu's actions? Have you ever witnessed or experienced a moment where someone stepped in to help in an unexpected way? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story and keep this conversation going. Finally, if you believe in the power of stories to remind us of the good we're all capable of, consider subscribing to Timeless Stories. By subscribing, you join a community that values hope, kindness, and the courage to stand for what's right. Let's keep inspiring one another to act with humanity every single day.